Yeah, go ahead.
Now, this is Dan. I did see one discrepancy from yesterday in the life insurance.
Okay.
The brain
between the system.
Yeah. The
okay, between the system and the video.
Yeah. On the guaranteed issue amount, the video, the Brain Shark said 150K guaranteed issue, and the yesterday's system only said 100,000. So.
Yeah, it should be the guaranteed issue should be 150.
We'll get with GIS and have that updated. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Dan. Good catch. So between the benefits guide that All Trust produced and the Brain Shark video, and then also you'll see in the training invite, we also have all of the other documents, the Allstate brochures and the evidence and insurability form is there as well. We talked about that yesterday. Everything is there at your disposal. So go ahead, Christina. Go ahead and pull up you said that you pulled up the link to the landing page. Go ahead and pull up the benefits guide, and we'll just touch on the products that way. Just for
you got it.
One more kind of final review, because we have all the tools we need, really. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm in that now. So you'll see it is a benefit guide saying it's 12/1 to 11/30/2019. It has a few informational pieces at the beginning and the member resources, phone numbers, and email addresses on that first page.
Christina?
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Corey. Can I jump in with just a real quick, couple of quick thoughts on the group overall?
Of course. Oh my gosh, yes.
You guys do this on a regular basis, and I appreciate everybody jumping on. This is Corey Lilburn. I'm the broker on the account. This is a great client. You're going to find the participation on medical to be low compared to what you're used to. And I mean really low, because they hire a ton of former military. So there's a lot of guys in this group that are still on TRICARE, which is great, and that's fine. And we're on Blue Cross, and they don't ask any questions. I know that I can't move them from Blue Cross. So I think the important thing to start out your call with is just a fair reminder to them that, hey, this is a cafeteria style plan. So just because you don't participate in the medical doesn't mean you're not able to elect all the other benefits. One plan doesn't dictate the other, is what I always say. And you guys are used to doing this, but I want to be really clear that they're able to get on all of the other lines of coverage. There were a couple questions last year predating Benaware, so with a different provider. And there were a couple challenges on the products that have pre-existing condition and guaranteed issue. Again, you guys all know your trade, so I don't want to belabor that point. I think all of us on the call understand the difference there, that a plan could have guaranteed issue, but also come with pre-existing condition. And so I would just ask that if you're looking at one of those plans, just be mindful that we need to be really clear on, hey, look, if you've already been diagnosed with cancer, for example, yes, this is a guaranteed issue plan, but it's going to cover everything except that with which you were diagnosed or treated in the last X months, whatever the product is. Those are the biggies from an overview standpoint. I think everything else runs fairly normal, compared to other groups you probably see out there. But I want to be able to take questions that you guys have as you look through all the information we provided.
Great. Thank you so much, Corey. So I'm just going to kind of run through a few of the key things here. And Scott, I know you said you don't have a great connection, but obviously you can jump in at any time here. If anyone has any questions, don't hesitate. So there's the two benefit options here, the HSA plan, and then there's the generic choices. The great thing is there is a cost already showing for the employees per period payroll deductions. The in-network for the HSA, the deductible is $3,000 for single, $6,000 for family, and then for the generic choices, it's $5,000 single, $10,000 family. The co-insurance afterwards is 30% after deductible is met. The max out-of-pocket for the HSA is $6,550 single, or $13,100. Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I jump in for a second?
Of course.
Awesome. I appreciate your description, but I'd rather just highlight a couple of things I think are differences. First, I don't want to get hung up on 2 options because there are 4. So you have to look at the next page. So just remember, people have a quad option here. There is a very rich plan on the next page. And frequently, I start backwards so that they can understand a plan that people are most familiar with is not usually an HSA. It's usually a copay style plan. And so I would go to the next page that is a Blue Option 5773. It's a PPO plan. And I let people know, skip over the deductible line. Look at the copays at the doctor. You do not need a primary care doctor on Blue Option. These are PPOs. You go to any doctor you want. All 4 plans are open access. So only Blue Care requires a primary care. The others do not. Blue Options does not. So if you skip over deductible and you look at copays at the doctor, you look down, you look at copays for emergencies, urgent care and ER. You look at copays for lab work, copays for MRIs, copays for drugs. 95% of the stuff that you do is a copay, right? The only time that deductible of $2,500 comes into play is the big things. So you have a hospitalization, an inpatient stay. You'll see it's $300 copay plus 20% after the deductible. Outpatient surgeries, doctor visits, doctors within the hospital. So all of those are coinsurance after the deductible. But again, don't get too hung up on the coinsurance percentage. I don't care if that's 30 or 40 or 50 or 10. All that is the speed with which you will arrive at the max out of pocket. So again, focus people on the worst case scenario on this plan is $6,350. It's a budgetable number. If you're in the hospital with $1 million claim, you're not on the hook for 20% of that. $6,350 is the worst case scenario. If you want a plan that's a little bit cheaper, you go to the HMO to the left. The amazing thing about the HMO is it's cheaper because it's an in-network only plan in state. So it's a Florida-based HMO. Travel outside of the state, emergencies by law have to be covered as an in-network benefit. But this plan, again, has copays on everything, and you're going to see that the copays are largely less than the PPO that we just went through. So it's cheaper because it's an HMO, but look, if your doctors are in the Blue Care network, what do you care? So you'll notice that your copays at the doctor still exist. Again, still an open access plan. You want to go directly to a specialist, you do so. Deductible does not apply. Copays for emergencies, urgent care or ER, copays for lab, copays for MRI, copays for drugs. That deductible comes in, again, just for the big things, hospitalization, surgeries, inpatient, outpatient. Max out of pocket, lower than the PPO that we just went through. It's $4,500 per person, not to exceed $9,000 for the whole family. And then, Christina, then I work backwards to that page that you were on, and I say, look, if we still need to find a cheaper plan, you come down again, and you have a choice again between a PPO and an HMO. The PPO being the Blue Options 5302. Your max out of pocket back up at the $6,350. But again, we protected copays at the doctor, 30 and 55, urgent care, ER, as well as prescription drugs. It's a $10 generic only copay. Okay, so that one's important to point out, that it's a generic only copay on this one, as opposed to the robust drug card on the other ones. Brand, you'll notice that you've got the greater of 20%, $50 copay up to $200 max, and the non-preferred is not covered. Okay, so if people want a full description, I stop at that point, just remind them, those are the 3 plans that I refer to as copay plans, right? 2 of them are PPOs, 1 is an HMO, but they are generally copays on the stuff that you do 95% of the time, doctors, emergencies, tests, and drugs, okay? Mm-hmm. The HSA, and the reason I end with this one is it's a totally different style plan, but if you want to save some dollars, you can save $20 a paycheck under the cheapest copay plan. So it's a big savings under the richest plan. You just have to understand that you're paying contracted rate. You're paying that negotiated rate for everything, okay? So I don't get the benefit of anything beyond the contracted rate. The insurance then doesn't kick in until I've satisfied that $3,000 deductible. If I'm enrolled as a single, it's $3,000. If I'm enrolled as a family, it's $6,000. Mm-hmm. The max out of pocket, of course, is $6,550 if I'm enrolled as a single. The family max is $13,100, but by law, no one person can be asked to pay more than $6,850. Okay? So the HSA works totally different, which is why I generally explain that one last if somebody gives me the ability to go through a full explanation of all four. I know that was a mouthful. I hope that helps.
No, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Corey. And I mean, feel free. I have no problem running down the list here and letting you go through. You know the benefits, and you know, that was a great explanation. I appreciate it.
I think the others are going to be plans that everybody's really familiar with. I mean, if you want to keep going, you'll see that the client includes their payroll deduction schedule, just so people can see exactly when those deductions will come out. And then you get into dental. I think it's a really straightforward dental plan. It's a DHMO versus a PPO. I'm happy to go through it, but I'm assuming you guys are probably pretty familiar. Are there any questions on DHMO versus PPO?
No, we got that.
Okay, so vision is a PPO. The vision plan did not change. I understand the MetLife plans are new, so dental and vision, or excuse me, dental and the life insurance, and then your supplemental products are all new. Medical and vision stayed exactly the same. Okay, so my hope is there's not a lot of questions on those, but again, they have a lot of turnover. There's a security guard group, so you can imagine their turnover is pretty high. So you'll deal with more new hires, I would think, than veterans. And then you get into the life insurance. I think we already had a question about, so thank you. I think it was Dan pointing that out, that we'll get that fixed in the GIS system, but the GI is $150. Obviously, they have to have insurance on themselves in order to get it on their spouse and kids. And then you get into the products that you guys are going to be far more well-versed than I am, which is the supplemental products. Questions on anything I've gone through?
Yeah, I've dug through all of this, the benefit guide and then the brain shark, and I have no questions at all. Anybody else?
Dan. Yeah, this is Dan. Guessing that the Allstate products are post-tax, correct?
Gosh, that is a good question. Carla, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we may have to get back to you because Bo's not on the line, so I just don't know the answer to that one. I'm sorry.
I think it is post-tax, Corey, but I'll
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't remember an indicator in the system either that tells you.
Yeah.
Although there could be.
Okay. In the process yesterday during the system presentation, they had mentioned that with the Allstate products, if they're replacing a Trustmark product, certain things are GI, et cetera, as well as the brain shark. But do we have a listing of who actually has those policies? Are they going to be in that system too, or no?
That's another good question. I don't have that
Carla?
listing. I can request it from Bo.
Okay, can you repeat that? Because there's background noise.
Okay, so I'm wondering if we have a listing of the people that are currently on a Trustmark, or not Trustmark, Transamerica policy.
Oh, okay. I can. I'll ask them that.
Or is it going to be? I'm not sure if the VB would be in the enrollment platform like all the other benefits. So.
Okay.
That way we know what we're asking and who we're talking to, so that we can remember that they have to.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find that out though. We can get with Bo. Carla, unless you know.
No, I'm texting him now. He's at an open enrollment meeting right now.
Okay, thank you.
No
So,
problem.
Corey, is there anything that we need to know that's special about the HSA? I mean, you put a lot of information already for the enrollment.
Yeah, so the system you basically capture a contribution amount. But if they're a new participant, do they have to open an account?
Yeah, they would need to open an account. The group allows them to open an HSA where they want and then just bring them the information. I'll be real honest, there's just not a lot of takers on funding an HSA account here. So I wouldn't get overly hung up, but certainly if somebody asks, then we direct them back to HR or to us. You can have them reach out directly to us. But they can open an HSA anywhere they want. They just need to give that information to HR.
Okay, and there's
Okay.
no employer contribution towards that?
There is not.
No. Okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward. We covered a lot of this yesterday too. Not really product information, but as you're going through the system, you can see what the plans are, what the different options are, you know, how to make your elections. I think we're in a good place. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Well,
So
thank you
as
guys.
you know,
I certainly appreciate your efforts on it. You guys are going to do a great job, and I think the group tends to take a fair amount of ancillary products. You know, as low as the participation is on medical, it should be a good enrollment process for you guys on everything else.
thanks for joining, Corey. Thanks for everyone for joining. Again, I'm always available except for my flight today. So reach out to me if you have questions on anything, the schedule, the process, anything. As we normally do, as you guys know, we'll send the scheduled calls this evening for tomorrow, and